In 2014, Sue and I toured Italy. We finished our travels at an art retreat in Le Marche. We stayed with a small community of artists in the restored farmhouse home of John Sketcher and his wife, in view of hilltop towns of medieval splendour. We painted in a variety of media. Here we are using pastel. One afternoon we spent time with John learning about colour theory and colour mixing, using only the three prime colours, red, yellow and blue. On our return home I tried out what John had taught us on some of the pigments that we use with egg tempera, and here is the result. John Sketcher is an English artist working near Force in Le Marche, Italy. And when he teaches about the colour wheel, he makes a Star of David to start with. And I'm making this 15 centimetres long and marking at 5 and 10 centimetres, and then with the same length as a radius, just inscribing, just so I get a nice equilateral triangle, and finish that line, and also mark in the 5 and 10 mark, and last one, 5 and 10, and then that line, the 5 and 10, becomes the base of the top triangle, and that should go straight through those marks, the 5 and 10 mark on the other line, and again there. So there's our Star of David, but now we're going to join up the points of the star. We're going to join up these lines as well. Now we choose our prime colours, red and yellow and blue. And from our group of pigments, I'm using arylide yellow and cadmium red and cobalt blue. So these are the basic colours for using our primary colours for making all our other colours. Now we need egg tempera. Let's mix our yellow first. Very powdery and needs quite a bit of mixing for this particular yellow. We'll pop it in here. And red. And to finish off our primary colours, blue. So there are our primary colours. And when we add blue to red, we'll get a nice violet. And if we add blue to yellow, so there we have our primary colours and our secondary colours. And we'll add to that some red to make our orange again, but this time it's going to be a lot more red in it, which will give us a burnt orange. But if our yellow dominates, we're going to have a much lighter orange, which will give us a cad orange. Then let's muck around with the red and blue. And if we add a little bit of blue, we'll get a crimson or a much a bit like our cad red purple, which is quite a nice rich colour. Now let's make a big mixture of yellow and add a little bit of blue. There's a little bit of blue already in that because the brush isn't quite clean. And that gives us a very yellow green. Nice. Or a viridian green. So now we have our primary colours, our secondary colours and our tertiary colours. Add green to red. John reckons we should get burnt sienna, which is a lovely colour. But I want to, when we mix yellow with violet, but I'm going to use burnt umber here because I want to use raw umber elsewhere. Burnt umber with that lovely reddish tinge. Orange to blue, we get terra verte. Who would have thought? But we do have raw umber, which does have a greeny quality to it. So there are the browns and greens that we're going to try to imitate with using just red, blue and yellow, the primary colours. Well, let's bring back the big three and see if we can imitate these colours. Well, we will try imitating our burnt sienna, and for burnt sienna we're going to need more red than most things. Add yellow to get our orange, need a lot more to get an orangey colour, might need a great deal more. Start adding blue, see what happens. Ah, look at that. Aha, there is quite a nice burnt sienna. If we add more blue, we should get perhaps too much there. We're hoping for a burnt umber, and it's coming. Perhaps a tiny bit of blue will just top that off. There we go. Well, let's start a new batch to come back round the other side. Let's start with yellow. And add a little blue to get our green up again. Oh, lovely green, beautiful green. Then what happens when we add just a touch of red? We get a passable. Right, we need more red to get a raw sienna. There's a passable raw sienna. Sap green. Now, if we add a lot of yellow in here, even more, we're going to get quite a nice yellow ochre. And if we take that over here and add a bit more blue, might be too much. tiny bit of blue, tiny. We could get a fair resemblance to terra vert. Needs to be more blue. Tiny bit more blue. And there we have our primaries, our secondaries, our tertiaries, and our ever so many subtle mixtures of browns and greens. Not mud, but beautiful colours. This is a little postscript. A few years on from when this video was first shot have taught me a few more things about colour theory. So now I've noticed aspects of colour theory and of this video that I didn't see back then. So 2 points. Firstly, I now notice that the browns and greens that this exercise was trying to imitate are more translucent than the strong primary colours that I was using. More coats of the standalone pigments like raw sienna and terra vert are needed to give a strong coverage. The second thing to point out is the main benefit from this exercise, and I think it is in learning how to adjust our colours by adding other colours. And this might be achieved by mixing another colour with our basic pigment choice, or it might also be achieved by applying a glaze to make a subtle adjustment. Something to think about. Well, thanks for watching and happy painting.